Let me just clarify what you're talking about. This was an American. Actually, 2 Americans were killed, 2 American terrorists that were associated with Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula that were killed without due process, clearly, without a court. So what you're saying is if they can do that, they owe us an apology for going after our what some people call torture, what you call enhanced interrogation techniques. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. He said in his Cairo speech, for example, that he had, quote, banned torture. Well, we were never torturing anybody in the first place. Said that we'd walked away from our basic fundamental ideals. That simply wasn't the case. That is to say that what he said then was inaccurate, especially in light of what they're now doing with respect to policy. But I do think this was a good strike. I think the president ought to have that authority to order that kind of strike, even when it involves an American citizen, if there's clear evidence that he's part of Al-Qaeda, planning and cooperating and supporting attacks against the United States.
Because this was, what we knew him as was a propagandist. So basically, for what he said and what he did, primarily over the internet, and we know he was connected, or at least was largely inspirational to some of the attacks. Fort Hood, which was a deadly attack, Times Square bomber, the so-called underwear bomber. So you have no problem with the U.S. going overseas and killing an American in a foreign country. That doesn't bother you.
I think you've got to go through the process internally, making certain it's reviewed by the appropriate people in the Justice Department, that you know, they take a good, careful look at it. But I think they did all of that in this case. And I think the president has all the authority he needs to order this kind of strike. It's the difference between a law enforcement action and a war. And we are at war. We believe we're at war. We believe the war started when they killed 3,000 Americans on 9/11. And I think what we've seen is the administration, the Obama administration, has clearly reached the point where they've agreed they need to be tough and aggressive in defending the nation and using some of the same techniques that the Bush administration did. And they need to, I say, go back and reconsider some of the criticisms they offered about our policies over the past years.